obvious to me because I'm always sitting here. So, hello everyone. Anybody who might be joining us. I know it's pretty early, but it does say we're live. Good. Okay. And you can chat. And if you do want to chat, just let us know who you are. So, Karen Gatrinig, how are you?
Fantastic. Hi,
Looking,
Lee.
looking
And
at,
hi to everyone who's joining us.
yeah. It's is it a beautiful day in Austria or evening?
It's a beautiful evening already. It's already 9 p.m. So with the time difference is you and 9 hours back, 6 hours,
6 hours,
excuse
yeah.
me, 6 hours back.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's 9 p.m. already. It's dark outside and yeah. So, but it's a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day, like every day. We have a special topic today, and I'm always excited talking about abundance tuning.
Yes.
It's so great because we talk about what we experience. We talk about the things we figured out for us, and yeah, it's every week so fascinating for me when you think about all the things in the detail, what happened with me, and you tell what happened with you, and that I think that's the greatest gift we can give to everyone who is joining us. Yeah, that everyone sees, hey, everybody can do this.
That's right. Yeah.
Tips and yeah, I think that's the greatest gift of all to share this with so many
Absolutely.
people around the world.
And you're very good at doing that. So freedom is chapter 3 in abundance tuning, right?
Yeah, chapter 3.
One of the things
I
too,
love it.
one of the things that when you go through this book, it actually leads you from where you are to where you want to go if you follow it. But it does require that, we take some time to study it. It's not one of these books you just read it once and forget about it. It really takes time. And that's where, these kind of calls that we're doing. And if you're part of the Elevate Network, you can go and watch the replays of all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, if you want someone like Karen to help you navigate this book, she's available. And of course, so am I. She's got a nicer smile than me, though. I'm just saying. So it's a matter of choice, I guess, right? I'm just gonna.
Yeah, that's my choice. Exactly.
Right.
You say it exactly right. Yeah.
One of the things that I do like about this chapter is there's quite a few quotes in here. And I like quotes. I always did. That's where the smartest words, quote book that anybody was looking for that. So I've always liked quotes, and I'm always posting quotes. So the very first, right off the bat, is from Romans 12:2, King James Version, and it says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." So the key here, this chapter, again, it's all about freedom, right? So, it says be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So I think it's important to understand personal freedom and happiness is not something that you actually build. It comes from, overcoming mental barriers, correct? Like I know my own personal life, I've had a lot of different issues in my life that I've gone through, and that's because of my understanding of this kind of material. And I learned a lot of this back many, many years ago now when somebody handed me one of Bob Proctor's programs, You Were Born Rich. And that's the beautiful thing about what's in here too, is, the things that we've learned through our studies, we have an opportunity to share. And that's what I think is in this book. The idea of freedom is you really need to learn how to live the life you want to live. Like I already said, I've done. I used to be a bus driver at one point, and I wasn't happy. I got conditioned to live my life a certain way, and I would imagine you did too, right, Carmen? Like think about when you
Yeah.
were young. What did you learn in your young age when you were growing up in? I think you lived in Vienna at the time when you were young, right?
yeah, it's a little bit outside of Vienna. I didn't grow up um, in the center of Vienna, but it was a little bit outside. But we were close to the city, and when you talk about this, and here we step into the one chapter of paradigms. So what I heard from my family, from my environment, that was, you have to make a good school, you have to go to university, that you can make good money. Point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, you won't earn money, enough money, and you never be able to live the life of your dreams, the life you want to live.
Right.
You have to see the world like we see it, and you have to go through all the steps we went through, and then you can be, maybe then you can be successful.
Mhm. Maybe.
And that's what I experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have a
me
good
too.
job, make a good money.
That's it. Marry somebody that has a good job and makes good money as well. That's some of the things that parents often tell us to do, right? And
Yeah.
for those who don't really know what paradigms is a multitude of habits. It's a conditioning. It's like a programming inside your subconscious mind. And we talked about it in chapter 1 on reality, when it talked about the idea of that lens, that the idea of the movie projector, projecting that pure white light through a lens. Well, the lens is those paradigms. So like, I know for when I was growing up, I was always taught, I wasn't even taught to go to school. I was taught to get a job, preferably with a union that had a union attached to it, where you got paid by the hour, and occasionally you worked an extra day and got some overtime, maybe time and a half, maybe double time on Sundays and holidays, and that was your life. Which I tried that. And the other thing too is, I was always taught that that was security, which I found there's no such thing. Because when I got the job driving a bus, I was very young. I was only 21 years old. I think I was the youngest bus driver that ever started working there. And my father said that I'd won the lottery because they hadn't had a layoff since World War II, which meaning my job is secure. But the sad part is, I think I was only there for 6 weeks, and we ended up on strike for a whole year. So I was already 6 weeks in. I was out of a job, job that apparently was supposed to be, I was set for life. And the other thing that I found too when I was there was I couldn't find too many happy bus drivers. So that was never a paradigm. That was never something my parents ever taught me, was that you're supposed to be happy, that you're supposed to pursue your dreams. No, you just go to work. You trade your time for money, and it doesn't work. Before that, before driving a bus, I worked at a Ford engine plant, building engines for Ford cars, and I think I was there. I think I was only there 6 months, and then we were laid off because they were rebuilding the plant and creating some new engine that they were going to start building. And so I was out of work for another year there. And again, I was taught that that was security. Right? So these are paradigms. And, when you start to really use your imagination, like in chapter 2, we were talking about creative visualization, where you start to build this beautiful dream, well, you're going to run into these paradigms, right? It's these paradigms that are going to cause you to not chase that dream. It's going to say, oh, that's a great idea. It's a pipe dream. But, that's not for people like me. People like us don't do that. But yet they do, like I mentioned, Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor didn't even finish grade 9. I think he said 2 months. He was in 2 months in, and they asked him to leave. So obviously he wasn't behaving very well. But then, he's Bob Proctor. We've lost him recently, but he left a legacy. He's inspired people around the world. No formal education. He didn't. I don't think he really had any mentors in his life back then, but he goes on to say that he felt as though he's got some friends that felt sorry for his mother. That's why they helped him, which maybe that's true. I don't know, but that's the same with all of us. So we all have paradigms. And when you start to understand how paradigms work, well, you can also start to understand how to change them. And that's where the freedom that we're talking about comes from. Right? Anything you want to add to that? Or
Yeah, this is the freedom, and freedom and paradigms, they are so close, these two chapters, because the paradigms are programmed in our subconscious mind. And when you get to this point where you say, okay, I choose freedom, I choose the freedom of my life, and I choose the freedom to dream, then you choose to step into your new reality. And that's what I think that's the most important thing ever, to have the courage and to be brave, to dream about your dream life, to accept there is my dream, and this is my dream, and nobody else can form it or bring it in another position or can tell me another story about my dream. This is my dream, and the freedom to accept their own life, their own dream life.
Mhm.
And
Purpose,
I
right?
think that's a big step, and that's when a paradigm shift happens.
Right. And that's the key is, we all have something buried in us, like that sense of we should be doing something, but it's that conditioning that keeps us from doing it. That's that purpose. You have to have
Yeah.
a purpose in your life or you're not going to pursue it. There has to be a reason for whatever it is you're doing. And that goes into, again, when we go back into the first two chapters, reality was just to help you understand that you are the cause of everything. That again, it's got nothing to do with blame or fault of any kind. It's got to do with these paradigms that you're conditioned to have the reality that you have. But you may not be
Yeah.
happy. You may not be fulfilling your purpose. You may not feel fulfilled in any way at all because you're not pursuing that purpose that's buried inside of you, that was given to you right from day one. There's something that came to you at the very first day that's inside of you, and it's going to cause you to want to move towards certain things. But unfortunately, because of our conditioning, we never actually pursue any of it. That's why people are so miserable all the time. They're not happy. If you're pursuing your passion, that purpose,
Yeah.
it's pretty hard not to be happy and excited about it. And it may not always go right. In fact, I can think of times in my life where, things weren't good. But I got up every day focusing on where I was going to go, and then it started to change. And it leads you into the path that you should be following. But you're not going to do that until you learn how to let go of that, that conditioned mind, those paradigms. The paradigms can be used to hold you down, or they can be used to lift you up. You can change the paradigms. Like, like you said, I grew up with the idea that I'm supposed to be trading my time for money. Well, that's the worst way to make money. You want to create something that pays you all the time, where you could be sleeping and you're getting paid for something you created. Whereas again, if you have the mindset of trading your time for money, you can't even comprehend the idea of creating something that could keep paying you. Like, wouldn't it be beautiful to be able to, sit on a beach somewhere and, stare at the ocean and maybe get on a call like this once in a while and know that you're going to always be creating more and more income for yourself and maybe even the people that are participating. These are the things that hopefully, we can help people understand is you can create the freedom in your life, but it comes from understanding. Like, in here, we talk about understanding how the mind actually works.
Yeah.
You've got your conscious mind, the subconscious mind. Your conscious mind is the thinking mind. Now, that's where all the creativity can start. You build the pictures of the things you want, but it's your subconscious mind that controls your behavior. That's where those paradigms are, right? This is where, when somebody says, hey, I want to go and do this, but I can't seem to get out of bed in the morning. Well, even though consciously you're saying, yes, I want that, subconsciously you're saying, who do you think you are? We don't do that. Like, I remember when I went into real estate, I got kind of labeled as being a crook by my parents, which I'm not. And that hurt a lot. And the only reason that they said that is because they don't understand me. But you know what? I understand me, and I understand what I'm doing, and I understand my passion. And I know that both of us, if somebody's out there wants some help with that, we certainly can help with that. Maybe just even coming and joining us on the Elevate Network would be a good idea, and keep joining these calls would be a good idea. Can you think of some things that, you've made a lot of changes, especially like in the last, 12 years or so. I imagine it took a lot of courage, did it? You want to share that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was not one paradigm shift. I think I had a lot of paradigm shifts, one after the other. Yeah, it's interesting to look at all the situations when you are in another position, because that's exactly what happened to me, what I experienced. If you follow the paradigm, which was installed from other people, from the parents, from the environment, from all the family members and friends, in most cases, most of the people are not happy, and that's an important factor, because we are talking a lot of vibration and about the frequency and about the language of the universe. But if you say it in a short word or in a short sentence, the vibration and the language of the universe is simply is the good feeling, is the alignment.
Mhm.
That's exactly when you are happy. And if you live the life other persons installed in your subconscious mind, most of the people are not happy, and that's why they don't come forward. That's why they don't live the life of their dreams. And that's the freedom to say, okay, I want to be happy. I break free from this old installed program, and I program my subconscious mind the way I want to have it.
Right.
That paradigm supports me and doesn't work against me.
Right. So,
And that's the freedom. That's the freedom of feeling good. That's the freedom to say no. Like Walter said, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we talked about Think and Grow Rich, the old self has to die.
yeah,
And then you can step into the new self.
that's right. Yeah.
And that's beautiful, because I had this experience when I changed my life. I think it was 9 years ago. 9 years ago, I had this big shift, because I'm divorced from my husband, and I took my 3 children and we moved to another place, and I started my own business, and I had a job, a little job on the side, and I had a house and a place for my kids for school, and everything changed in about 3 months. You know, it took some time before all this happened.
Right.
But when I made the decision and the program was installed in my subconscious mind, all worked together in about 3 months, and everything was done.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. And that's what also is important for the people, for everyone who listens to us now. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
You have to train your brain, you have to train your mind, and you have to train your body. You have to train the emotions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's like you said, it doesn't happen overnight. I guess it could, but it doesn't usually. The key is with a lot of this is, it's not a difficult process, but it's time consuming, and you have to stick with it, because that programming that you were just talking about doesn't want to change. It wants to stay the way it is.
Mhm.
And again,
Mhm.
that conditioned mind is not your enemy. It's just not necessarily programmed to allow you to pursue your passions. Like, you just said 9 years ago, you packed up your kids and you went and got them into school and all that kind of stuff. Well, you had a purpose, right? It's it's that's the driving force. You have to have a purpose for wanting to change, because again, we talk about hitting a resistance wall. That's your subconscious mind saying, hey, wait a minute, where are you going? And causes you to focus on everything that's wrong, maybe it causes you to get so afraid that you go running all the way back to where you started at. But the reality is that resistance wall is just a figment of your imagination. It's your subconscious mind thinking is keeping you safe, when in reality it's keeping you from living your dream, your passion, your life, whatever it is that you want. So, you've done it. Like, that's a good example. Like, you made a major difference in just 9 years. Like, I haven't known you for 9 years, but I keep watching you and I see you changing all the time. You're constantly doing something new. And, I joke about how you never stop smiling. Well, that's a good thing, right? Happy people smile.
Absolutely.
Like, only happy people smile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And happy people are people who are pursuing the life that they want. Right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about freedom, that's the freedom we're talking about, is the freedom to live your life the way you want to. But you have to understand what's stopping you in the first place. Yeah, I was having a conversation with, I know quite a few real estate people, because I used to be in real estate. And, there's all kinds of courses on how to get more listings and how to find more buyers and even how to do proper marketing and all these kind of things. So there's lots of information out there, lots of courses that you can take on how to sell real estate. But the problem is there's not a lot of programs designed for real estate people that is going to help them understand why they're not doing it. And that's where we're coming into, is if like, for example, let's just use the real estate as an example. If somebody making, say, 50,000 a year, but they want to make 100,000 a year. Okay, well, they're making $50,000 a year because they're conditioned to make $50,000 a year. The reality is you can take all the courses you want, and you may see some, extra, sales or something for a month or so. But eventually that conditioning inside of you is going to bring you back to 50,000 a year. Well, what we're getting at is helping you understand that by changing your conditioning, you can easily get to 100,000. Is it going to be easy? No, you're going to keep hitting that wall that we're just talking about, the resistance wall. But understanding what's happening is going to get you to go through the wall, and 100,000 is on the other side of the wall. It's a figment of your imagination. It's simply your conditioning causing you to see things the way you are conditioned to see them, not the way they are. And that goes back into chapter 1 when we talked about reality. You're seeing a world that's based on what someone else conditioned you to see. But with the true understanding of what we're talking about here, you can tune into whatever abundant life you want. You can tune into anything you want. And it doesn't have to be about money. It can be about relationships. It can be about anything. It can be about your health. You don't have to be wealthy to be happy, although being wealthy helps. When you're not worrying about money, it certainly makes a difference. But why are we worrying about money? If you worry about money, it's because you were conditioned to worry about money. I was conditioned that I was supposed to trade my time for money. I was supposed to get paid by the hour. So when I went into real estate and, there's no hourly pay, it's a commission. You only got paid when you sold a house or property of some kind. That was scary. And there were many times that I would get out of bed in the morning and go, geez, what did I do? There's no paycheck coming on Friday. But then, you know what? That was a long, long time ago, and I haven't had a paycheck from a job in a long, 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 long time. I'm not going to say how old I am. So actually, our joke, if anybody's listening, is we're 39 and holding.
So we know you are 39, right?
Yes, right. I'm 39. So the key is, again, is everything in your life is because of your conditioning. And freedom comes from understanding that. Freedom comes from making those changes. Now, in the next chapter is on release. We're going to talk more about releasing all this garbage that's inside of you. Now, keep in mind too, you gain most of it from growing up, and your parents did the best they could with what they had. But they only can give you what they have. And if you want something different, you're going to have to develop it yourself. And that's what this program is all about. Like the Elevate Network, everything that we're doing is designed to help a person live the life they're supposed to be living, not the life that they've been conditioned to live. And if you think about it, pretty much, I would imagine 95% at least, maybe even higher, 97, 99% of the population in this world are not living the life that they've chosen. They're living a life that someone conditioned them to believe to be true. And I want to see everybody live a different life. You've got somebody here that thinks whatever you were saying at the time is very true. So, actually, maybe somebody you know, I don't know. I'm just looking at the chat on the side here. Just looking to see if anybody's saying anything. So somebody is actually saying they like what you said. Wesley.
So last week we had the chapter create and creative visualization. So that's all together, you know. The visualization is to have really the freedom to see the picture you want to see in your life, and the picture you visualize is also the different lands we talked about in the first chapter of reality that you put in front of your projector, of your video projector, and you can choose. Everybody can choose. And that's the freedom.
You can change the lens, right?
I changed my lens. Absolutely. Yeah.
And everybody can do that.
Everybody has his difficulties. Everyone has circumstances where you say, okay, why do I experience this? But this is the next step in the creation, you know. And this is when you see the contrast in your life, you see it really consciously, and then you know, okay, this is not what I want, so take the opposite. And create again the new picture. So no one has to be discouraged about any contrast in life, because contrast is important for us to grow.
That's right. Yeah. You know, what's interesting too is when we're talking about paradigms control your emotions, and emotions are basically a vibration that you're in. It's how you feel. So, you know, as you're pursuing anything that you want, understand that the universe is responding to the vibration that you're in. So this is another problem is, you know, you can be consciously saying, I want this, I want that. But subconsciously you're saying, I don't deserve it. And when you put it on the universe, I don't deserve it, then you're not going to see the path. But you do deserve it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing that's important to understand. Like, you know, you yourself, like the changes you made, you knew you deserved a better life. And because of that, you're creating a better life. And then what's beautiful about it too, and I've had the pleasure of meeting your daughters, is these are happy girls. Like these are girls that are learning something, and I think they can thank mom for this, because I would think it's pretty safe to say that you've given them a different outlook than what they would have had you still been married. Things would have been completely different.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We were talking about this just a few days ago, and I have to say, really, the one daughter now goes to the university. She made a 6 weeks trip through the United States, and the other daughter. And we don't talk only about money. You know, the financial freedom is important, yes, and everyone wants financial freedom. But some people have different areas in life. Is the one daughter, my one daughter, she lost about how many 25 kilos, so it's about, I think, 50 pounds. And because she said, okay, I want to change my life, I want to change my body and my health, you know, I want to be healthy. And I made the visualization and the changing of perspective. And this is so important in this case, that you change the perspective to perceive things in a different way, because if you see the things in a different way, you feel different. And that's where the emotions come in again. You know, what you feel is your attraction point. What you feel right now is what you are sending out to the universe. And that's exactly what you're getting back.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And when the how is something is often the how to make something happen. Our job, we talked about it again, in the creative visualization is, it's our job to build a picture of what it is that we want. It's not our job to know how to make it all happen, because it's impossible. If you've never done it before, you're not going to know how. All you need to do is start, but you have to have that passion inside of you, that purpose to keep going. And if you do that, the universe is going to keep showing you different paths. And sometimes that path might take you down some road that is meant for you to learn something. But the key is when you really truly understand what we're trying to help people grasp here, is that if you keep going, you will get to wherever it is you want to go. Right? And the only reason it may take a long, long time is because of those paradigms, right? That subconscious conditioning is going to keep telling you that's not how we do things. But you can change that, and you change it the same way as it was put there in the first place. It was put there by the constant repetition of that information. Like, you grow up in a household and this is how things are done. Well, you're going to grow up to believe that's how things are done, right? You're not going to know anything different because you haven't been conditioned. But if how things were done in the past aren't working, you can change it by doing the exact same thing with the constant repetition of information. We talk about it, we'll get more into it as we go through the book, but you can meditate, you can repeat affirmations, you can create vision boards, you can do all kinds of things that are constantly giving your subconscious mind that brand new information. And guess what? Your subconscious mind has no ability to reject the information you're giving it. It must accept it. Now it's going to say, no, that's not how we do things. That's that resistance. But if you keep saying it over and over again, eventually it gets to the point where it becomes the new paradigm. It becomes the new habit. And guess what? Your whole life changes. And you've had that experience yourself, right? I've had that experience. And I think anybody that might be following us right now can have that experience. You can have anything you want. I always like, affirmations, like, one that Bob always talked about when he was talking about money is, I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing amounts from multiple sources on a continuous basis. Well, I used to say that a lot because, again, I was conditioned to believe that you had to trade your time for money, where you had to go to a job and you got paid by the hour. Now, there's a lot of people in this world that have a nice life doing that, but that wasn't for me. I wanted to create something that would pay me over and over again. And I wanted it also to be something that would be, beneficial to anybody who got involved with it. I wanted everybody to win, right? So that was a good one. Was I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing amounts from multiple sources on a continuous basis. That means the money just keeps flowing, and it can, right? In fact, we're working on helping people do that right now with the Elevate Network. But that's the life I want to live. Like we've talked about the idea of sitting on a beach and just enjoying the sun. Like, that doesn't mean you're not working. You still have to work. You still have to work at something, but you're working at something that you're passionate about, and at the same time creating a passive residual type of an income. Why can't we all do that? We can. And the only reason that somebody won't is because they've been conditioned to their paradigms to not. Now, you mentioned that your daughter lost weight.
Absolutely.
Another affirmation that I learned, I think it was from Bob, pretty sure it was from Bob, was about weight, was I'm so happy and grateful now that I am my perfect weight. I'm looking good and I'm feeling great. That's something too that, when something that I remember Bob saying was that, especially when it comes to the idea of losing weight, you don't want to focus on losing weight because we're conditioned to try to find what we lose. That's hence why we have these yo-yo diets, right? So It's
Yeah.
not, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've lost 25 pounds. No, it's I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm perfect weight. I'm looking good and I'm feeling great. See, subconsciously, you know what your perfect weight is. Anything that is
Hmm.
over and above your perfect weight is because you've been masking something using food as some type of way of supporting some negative feelings inside. It's usually something emotional, because a lot of people will turn to food to offset something emotional. Whereas if you're focusing on being your perfect weight, you're not going to want that stuff. And the other side of all of this too is when you really start to understand how all of this works, you start to realize that whatever's causing that emotional problem in the first place can be resolved. You're probably having some kind of emotional emotion around some situation in your life that, guess what? Go back to chapter 1. Well, you caused it.
You caused it. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
when you learn to not cause what was causing the emotional problems, well, then you're going to have less problems as you go forward. So it's a beautiful thing. Like there was, I was in a quote here, Joel Barker, he wrote a book on paradigms. He said, to ignore the power of paradigms to influence your judgment is to put yourself at risk when exploring the future. And that's the key, is
Yeah.
you're never going to get something new until you make some changes. That's the way it works. Like you have to change how you've been conditioned. Everything in your life today is there because of how you see reality. If you want something different, then you're going to have to change it. I know you've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it. I imagine if there's people listening, maybe they're either have done it or they're going to do it. And hopefully we can help them with that by just being here every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. What's the time zone? What time zone is that there? It's I keep forgetting. What is it?
Yeah. But we now we have 9:37 in Austria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
9:30. We
what,
start at 9 p.m.
what's the name of the time zone where you're at? Like this is Eastern time. What's like California specific time? What is it in Austria? Is there a name for it?
Central Europe time.
Central Europe?
Vienna time zone. Europe time. Yeah. Central Europe time.
Oh, okay.
CET.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I learned something new today. I like learning things. So the key
So
again, what we want to talk about here is, you really got to have to get to the point where you really truly understand who you are, how you've been conditioned to see the world. Right? If you're not getting the results you want, it's not your fault. There's nothing to blame here. It's just a lack of understanding of what's causing it in the first place. And that cause is our conditioning, our subconscious mind, or what we refer to as paradigms. So, if you
yeah.
decide you want to change careers, well, it's probably going to be scary. And that's only because you haven't been conditioned to be in that new career. Like with me, I went from bus driving to real estate. That was scary. I many times was wondering why I even did it. But it was probably the best thing I ever did. Was it easy? No. But I did it. And I can say today that I'm on a path that I designed. I'm living my life by design. I wasn't living my life by design. Same with you. You made a big
Yeah.
difference, big
Yeah.
change in your life. And, you're living your life by design. And I already mentioned it.
Yeah.
And I think the beautiful things in your case is that you're teaching your daughters and your son to do the same. I can tell just, the brief conversations I've had with them that, they have, they're inspired. They want to, you can see them, they're thinking, they're planning, and, they're focusing on what's next. Well, they learn that from you,
Yeah.
right? They learn that from you. And
Yeah.
those are paradigms that they're gaining, and they're positive, which can give them a little bit of a head start on when they do decide on exactly what it is they want. They're still young, but they're at an age where they are going to make a difference now. They are going to start living their lives in university, and she has plans. She has a purpose, right? And, they're learning that. And it's hard to say where they'd be had you not made your own decisions and created your own path to
Yeah.
follow, right?
Yeah.
Because they get to witness it from you. And that's what happens. That's, we gain our paradigms, how we're conditioned to see the world based on the environment we grow up in. And
Yeah.
that doesn't even, it could be grandparents, it could be even just, the neighbors, what the neighborhood's like, and, everything about even the country you live in. Like I know, like I'm in Canada, but I'm very close to the United States here. And there's a difference. Like I can cross the border. I could be in the United States in like half an hour. I could be pretty much anywhere. And as soon as you cross the border, it's a different mindset. Like there's a lot of similarities, to way things are between Canada and the United States. There's not a lot of difference, but there is a difference. There's a Canadian paradigm. There's an American paradigm, right? You can go to work at when I was in real estate, I worked at Remax, which is one set of mindset, and I've worked
Yeah.
at other companies that had a different mindset. It's fascinating, and again, that goes by whoever the leader is has set a tone, and you're going to find that you're going to be attracted to the vibration of that particular office. Like even though I worked at a few different offices, I kind of liked the Remax way of thinking because it was a little more, it seemed a little more entrepreneurial because you got pretty much all the money, but you had to pay every month. So you really couldn't just sit around and do nothing because you got a bill every month. So you had to pay it. So you had to get to work. So I kind of like that better than, because then you go to some of the other places and it's the same. There's people that do well no matter what company they're in, but the mindset of some of these, you get a lot of people sitting around drinking coffee all day and kind of talking about the other realtors rather than getting out and talking to people who want to sell their property. So even that alone has to do with paradigms. If you want to be successful, then you got to be around people that are working to be successful. Even if you don't feel as though you fit in, just take a look and see what they're doing. If they're doing what you want to be doing, then that's who you should be hanging around with, right? Because that's going to help change your paradigms and it's going to rub off. It does. Like I said already, your subconscious mind has no ability to reject any information. It might put up a fight, but that constant repetition of that new information causes a brand new paradigm, right? So
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to choose the people. And this is also a part of freedom, to choose the people they surround you, the people you spend your most of the time and your lifetime. If you spend time with friends and you have friends, for example, they talk about success and about goals and about happiness and what happened in a positive way. So how do you feel when you around with those people? And how do you feel if you are surrounded by people they always tell you what doesn't work and what's bad and what they don't have, and that the environment is terrible and the government is awful, and so that makes a different vibration. And those people also program our subconscious mind. Most we are programmed. The basic of the subconscious mind is finish the programming with about 5 to 7 years, but we still get the programming on and on. Otherwise, we couldn't be able to change it.
right.
Yeah, when we adults. And that's why it's so important, really, to have the freedom to choose the people you are surrounded. Why don't talk about with people about success, about money, and about uh, how money feels good and how money is joyful and what can we do with money and where can I spend my money? What can I do good things to the world and to the people I love? All the people, they always talk about money, what's bad. I don't have it, and people are bad and they are stealing, rich people are not good people, and these are also paradigms, and
Absolutely.
so I can tell everybody, choose. The people have the freedom to choose the people they surround you.
Yeah. Yeah. The sad part too is you may have been conditioned to see the world a certain way, and then we have, what we do is we gravitate towards people that think the same way. So,
Yeah,
if you're in an environment where people are always talking negative, well, go look in the mirror, because that's you.
yeah.
The people around you, the people you hang around with on a regular basis, that's you. And that was the thing
Mhm.
that, I realized when going back to the bus driving, like there's some wonderful people that I met that are bus drivers, but there was a lot of negative talk. Like they were constantly talking about the management's this and the management's that, or this bus driver's this and this bus driver's that. And then I woke up one day and I'm thinking, that's me. I'm the same. And I don't like it. I don't want to be there. So I had to leave. Again,
Yeah,
it can be scary. And that's what I think what we're trying to help other people understand is you can change it. You just got to want to. Like if there's something in your life that you're not happy with, you can change it. And we can help you with that by just following along with us every Wednesday. Like, we're basically talking about making a shift, a paradigm shift. And chapter 7 is called the shift. It's a shift process. It's a 5-part process. And, the reason it's in chapter 7 and not at the beginning is because you need to understand what's actually going on before you're going to make that shift. You have
yeah,
to understand what we're
absolutely.
saying, right? You have to
Yeah,
understand that you're conditioned to believe what you believe. It doesn't mean that it's
yeah,
true. Now, there's lots of things that you probably, were programmed to believe to be true that you don't want to change. Like if you grew up in a family where, like, even when it comes to relationship, you're a young child and mom and dad get along fantastic, and that you're loved. Well, you don't ever want to change that paradigm, because that's going to help. But if you grew up
yeah,
in an environment where maybe, one of the parents has an addiction problem, alcohol, or is abusive, or maybe, one of the parents isn't even in your life, that's going to cause a problem for you, because you're going to feel as though you're not valued in some way. Or
yeah,
if that person is, got an addiction problem, then you're going to always be afraid. And these aren't things that you're supposed to be conditioned into believing to be true. So, you're going to find too, like if you grew up in an environment where there's a parent, for example, that is abusive, well, there's a really high chance that you're going to end up in a relationship where your partner is abusive, or you're going to be the abuser, one of the two,
yeah.
right? See, we're conditioned that way, but you don't want to live your life that way. You can have happy, healthy relationships, but you're going to have to condition yourself on your own. You're going to have to take responsibility for it, because you're the only one who can do it. There's people, like us that can help. We can help people understand this. We can help give them, different scenarios and ways to actually make those changes. But the individual has to do it. We can't make them.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's the thing is,
And then,
this is going to say it goes back to that purpose. You got to have that burning desire inside of you to want something different, because it won't
mhm,
necessarily be easy. Some things are going to be really easy because it was simple. But a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to relationships and things like that, if you've had problems in relationships in the past, well, it's because you're conditioned to have problems in relationships.
mhm.
I know, I've been there. Uh, it happens pretty much to everybody, but it can
So
change.
yeah, me too. I know it exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I went through this.
exactly. Right.
And that's so beautiful why we can help other peoples. And that's why we make this Elevate together, and why you had the purpose to create Elevate.
Yeah.
And I'm happy and grateful to be a part of Elevate, because that's what we want. We want to shift the paradigms of so many people, and we want to change the world. Yeah. And the reason why it's really exciting and makes is fun and joy to listen to these calls, because you also have this repetition over and over again.
Yeah.
If you get the right information, every weekend you spend a time with people that think exactly like you do, so that makes a big change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what also is important. That's the work from a mentor, because if you work with someone else, the other person can see how you're thinking, and that's also what I'm doing with my clients, to find out what's standing in your way. And every shift in your vibration can be the breakthrough to the life you desire.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to have a mentor in your life. It doesn't, you don't, it could be a close family friend. Like I had a friend actually that got me started in the personal development. And,
Yeah.
I look back at that and, if it wasn't for that person pointing out to me what we're saying right now, I don't know if I would have changed. I probably would have retired as a bus driver or something. Somehow I think if I was still a bus driver, I probably wouldn't be alive. It was, I can't imagine spending all those years doing that. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. Again, there's a lot of wonderful bus drivers out there. It just wasn't for me. Now, I'm a creative guy. I couldn't just sit there and go around and around in circles all day. I need to be thinking about stuff. And luckily for me, I had people in my life that could see that. And they guided me. And was it easy? No, it wasn't easy. But I had people that were willing to, say, come on, Lee, you got to stop doing that and help me understand why I'm doing it in the first place. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here is, the freedom that we seek, it's available. And the information you need to get there is right here in this book. We're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, is it going to get resolved in one day? No. But it could get resolved pretty quickly, depending on how strong you want to work at it. Your subconscious mind controls how you feel. Like
Absolutely.
it literally, when you hit that wall we were talking about, it can literally make you sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've had people that would actually get sick by trying to go through the wall a little too fast. But having somebody around helping them understand what's going on, they pick themselves back up and they try again. And then guess what? Not too long after that, they're through the wall and they're going towards the life that they want. Now, are there going to be more walls? Yep. I think you're going to find that the most successful people in this world kind of make it their purpose to keep going through walls. Like you look at some of the richest people in the world, they're creating things that were never created before. They had to go through walls to get there. It's easier now because they understand it. But back when they first started out, no, it wasn't. But I can tell you from personal experience, and I'm pretty sure you would agree with me there, it gets easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But it requires understanding. And that's what we're trying to help people understand today is the life you want exists. It exists right now. The only reason you don't have it is because you haven't been conditioned to have it. And that can change. I mentioned already the idea of, affirmations, focusing on what you want, associating with people, like-minded people that are going in similar directions. They don't have to be going in the same direction, but you need people that are actually making a difference in their own lives. If you're just going to sit around and listen to people who complain and complain and complain, well, you're going to be complaining the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
The media, like you don't want to watch like the news media. Like they just keep wanting to tell you what's wrong. You never hear solutions. It's like the sky is falling and it's that guy's fault or it's that guy's fault. But there's never any answers to the problems. It's just, oh, look at this next problem. Oh, look at this next problem. Well, guess what? If you sit and watch that every day, then your life is filled with problems.
Yeah,
you're never going to be happy.
absolutely.
And the interesting thing is you don't need to watch the news. In fact, like I'm listening the other day where they're arguing about whether we're in a recession or we're not in a recession. Who cares? Recession's in your mind, right? You cause your own recession. There doesn't have to be a recession. You can cause your own. We can be in the best of times and people still find that they can't pay their bills. Well, they caused it. And then the same thing is, when the government claims that we're in a recession or not in a recession, depending on what side of the government you're on, because they always want to argue whose fault it is. So the reality is you can create your own economy. You don't have to follow what's going on out there in the news. In fact, I wouldn't. You think about it, there's a lot of people out there that they don't even think about what the economy is doing. They just keep focusing on where they're going. And then every once in a while, they wake up and somebody says, hey, did you know we're in a recession? They go, no, because there isn't one, right? So I'd say stop watching this stuff, right? And again, that goes back into, who you're hanging around with. Sitting in front of the TV watching the news, that's who you're hanging around with. And these are paid professionals that are designed to keep you focusing on whatever it is that they decide you need to be focused on.
Yeah, what happens if you're focused and you go through the wall, through the resistance wall, and then you have success, and then you have it in your evidence that you reach the next step, you grow in your confidence. And what happens? You change your vibration. And that's always what Bob Proctor also said. If you have a goal, a burning desire, or having to have, no matter what goal it is, this goal is always on the high vibration. The high vibration on feeling good, be happy. The vibration of love. And I think it's in the next chapter in release, when we talk about resistance of love.
Yeah.
Love is such the highest vibration ever. And if you can feel this unconditional love, you have to train your body and your mind to the goal, to the vibration. And that's it. This one step, when you are up on this frequency, then you are a match with your goal. And that's what we do. What you do with your clients, what I do with my clients, and what we want to do on Elevate, to make this shift and to raise the vibration. And on one day, it could be that you wake up and you say, okay, it happened overnight. No, it didn't, because you had a lot of steps before that. But one day you're going to wake up, and I promise that's true, and that works. And that works for
absolutely
everyone.
The idea is that you're going to wake up one day and you're going to look back and go, look how far I've come. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But that vibration you're talking about, that love and that excitement, it's going to cause you to get inspired and motivated and take action. And that's the key. Like, you have to act. And that's what we're trying to get at too, is that freedom that you're looking for is going to require you to act a certain way, and probably act differently than you have in the past. Hence, changing paradigms, right? Changing the paradigms to a vibration that is in line with where you're trying to go. And when you get to that point, you're just going to go, because you're going to get up every morning and you're all excited. I'm going to do this today, and I'm going to do that today, and I'm going to do this today. And you make a list of intentions of things you want to accomplish. And next thing you know, boom, you did them all. And what's really beautiful about that, when I learned all this kind of stuff, was like, I'd get up and I'd think, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do this today, I'm going to do this today. And then I never do any of it. But then when I started actually making a list of priorities and my intentions for the day, I was getting more done by 9 a.m. than I was ever doing, probably in like 3 or 4 days before. And even now, like you and I, we talk all the time, but a lot of times I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes even earlier. And I get stuff done again by 9 a.m. I got so much done that the rest of the day I started thinking, okay, what do I need to do now? Like, I need to find something else to do, because I'm already done everything I said I was going to do. But that again came from me changing my paradigms. There was a time when I didn't even want to get out of bed. I just want to sleep the day away, right? But I don't like it. I'm not that way. I can't sleep now. I'm excited all the time. What are we creating this week? What are we adding to what we're doing? What are we going to talk about on the next time we talk? Like, you and I are talking on Tuesdays about abundance tuning, but we've got our Elevate Roundtable that we do on Wednesdays, and we've got Think and Grow Rich that we do on Thursdays. And then we have clients and all kinds of things on top of that. Like, it's exciting. It's fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I can remember, and you probably the same, is I wasn't always like that. I wasn't anywhere near like that. I can remember back in time when, again, I was really not a happy person. And I'm much happier today than I've probably ever been in my entire life. Why? Because I understand how to find that freedom that I've been looking for in my entire life. I know how to find it. I'm finding it every day. And the beautiful thing about it is every time I find something new, I realize there's something more.
Yeah.
I'm not even beginning to be done. And that's when I look at people like, I mentioned, Richard Branson or Elon Musk, like they're already billionaires. Why are they pursuing the next thing? Because that's where the fun is. It isn't about the money.
Yeah. It's
The
the
reason
fun.
the reason they're billionaires is because they have no problem going through that resistance wall. They say, they put in their mind, oh, I want to do this. I have no idea for. But they already know that all they need to do is build a big what it is they want and then act. And the universe will show them exactly how to do it.
Absolutely. That's so true. And that's what exactly happened to me when I first saw The Secret with Bob Proctor. And I said, I want to meet this man one time in my life and I want to talk to him. And how? I had no idea. But 3 or 4 years later, I met him and I saw him. And when I first saw The Secret, I said to myself, that's what I want to do. I want to understand it and I want to bring it out to the world as so many people as possible.
And you're doing exactly that.
And that's exactly what I'm doing
Right,
5 years later.
Yeah, right. It
I
took that.
had no plan. I had no idea. So the how is not our job.
No.
If you have a burning desire, just believe it and feel it. And that's what the people learn here with us, to train the body and the emotions that you are the same vibration like your goal, and then you are a match. That's law.
That's basically what the name of the book, Abundance Tuning. We're helping people tune
Yes.
into the abundance that they want in their life and
Yes.
all the abundance that's available to anybody and everybody. And that's something too that's important. I think people need to understand is there's no limit to anything. There's no shortage of anything. Anything
Yeah.
we can ever imagine already exists. If it's not here physically, it will be as soon as we need it. That's the
Yeah.
way this universe works. Like, you mentioned Bob and The Secret. The secret is basically about the law of attraction, but it's the law of vibration and attraction. And that's what we're trying to help people understand. It's that subconscious conditioning that causes the vibration. And it's that vibration that does the attracting. So when you get emotionally involved with your goal, when you get excited about that big giant dream in your life, that purpose in your life, you're changing your vibration. And by doing that, you're going to start to act differently, you're going to behave differently, and the universe is going to respond to the vibration you're in. And that's the thing that most people need to understand. They don't, a lot of people, again, they watch The Secret and they miss that part. Because they miss the fact that you have to act as well. You have to move. You have to start, you got to get up and start moving towards what it is you want. You don't need to know how. I always like the idea of, when you think of like the GPS in your car, like, if I was in Austria and near your house, I would have no idea how to get to Vienna. But if I got in the car and I put in an address in Vienna, the GPS would now lay out a path, right?
Yeah.
And I could get in the car and start driving in the wrong direction completely. And the GPS is going to keep telling me to turn around. Well, that's exactly the way the universe works. When you're in that vibration, you could be going in the wrong direction, but as long as you maintain that vibration of what it is you want to accomplish, the universe is going to say, hey, you're going in the wrong direction, turn around.
Exactly.
And here's where we fall short. We don't listen. Those are the paradigms again. Your subconscious mind's got you focusing on the wrong direction. And because of that, we're not listening to the fact that we're being told to turn around. And this is what we want to try to help people understand is you can fix that. You can change that. You can be more open. Like ideas come to me so often. Like I started, one of the best things I have now is I can be sitting watching TV, which I don't really pay attention to. It's just background noise. but for some reason I like the background noise, but ideas come to me and I have a notepad and I just start writing ideas down. And that's usually when I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, the first thing I do is I look at all my notes and I start putting it all together. Like, we were talking about the Elevate network. Every time you go there, you're going to find something different because I keep changing it. Right?
Yeah.
I keep saying, oh, I get this idea. Well, this would be better if it was like this. And then boom, we change it. Right. We got more programs coming. Like I just got off a call with a person that I think is going to be fantastic. He's great. I think it's going to be really good to have him on board. Why? Because he's in the right vibration. Very good example is how him and I met was I actually got this idea to market the idea that we want more coaches, or we refer to them as content providers for the site. And so I put it up on LinkedIn. And I was shocked that probably 1 hour after I posted on LinkedIn, I got somebody that signed up to want to talk to me about it. Now, this is a guy that doesn't even use LinkedIn, nor did I. He wants to be doing what we're doing. And we want people just like him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the universe guided me to make that posting. And guess what? The universe guided him to see that posting and set up a time to talk. And we have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what will happen. But you got to realize that the paradigm, like, if his paradigm was, yeah, this is something I love to do, but I don't really want to set up an appointment right now. Maybe I'll do it next week.
Yeah.
Right? And then guess what? It never happens. Right? So.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happens when you get an impulse. When you get an impulse, act on it. If you can, in this second, in this moment, if it's not possible right now, do it as soon as possible. But act on it. Yeah.
Now that impulse you're talking about, you always have to be careful that, because your subconscious mind will be that second thought saying, maybe next week, or
Yeah.
that won't work. See, the first thought is the universe telling you what direction to go. The second thought is your conditioning telling you not to do it.
Yeah.
Like you just said, follow your intuition, follow that impulse and just go. And you're going to find that usually you're going in the right direction. Right? And you'll find successful people like that. They make very quick decisions. They change their mind very slowly, if at all. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. And if you can get like that, then you're going to win. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're at the end of our hour and actually almost 10 minutes. We're over our time, but so what? It's good conversation as always there, Miss Gatrinek. And I guess it's time for us to say goodbye. So good day and good night to whoever is following us. And we'll be back next week with the next chapter, which is on release, which I think this will help you actually get rid of some of the paradigms that aren't working for you. And if you're interested, we also have our roundtable. That's a closed group. It's not live. It's just where we pick a topic and talk about whatever anybody wants to talk about. We mastermind ideas. So if you want to do that, just check out our Elevate Roundtable. I think wherever you are, you can probably find a link to register for that. And then Thursday, we've got our Think and Grow Rich mastermind study group that we do. And that's usually a pretty good group as well. There's 4 of us on that one. So you and I, Karen, are busy through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah, we are always busy. Yeah, but it's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
That's creating.
It is fun. I enjoy this. Like, why would you want to do anything else? I don't know. It doesn't make sense, right? But anyways, hopefully whoever's joined us will be back next week. We'll see you again. And until then, bye.
See you soon. See you next week.